Well, good afternoon. If it's Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, it's Mondays with Michael live here on Facebook. Thanks for those who are joining me today live, and for those of you who are watching this post session, thanks for watching this post session. And I am getting some good feedback from folks I'm seeing out in the community about our Mondays with Michael live. So thanks for the feedback. Keep it coming in. I'm hoping this is a bit of information you can use when it comes to teamwork, supervisory development, some of the issues that our clients are facing, like harassment, discrimination. So keep tuning in, keep watching, and we'll try to share as much as we can when it comes to good content. Today, we're going to keep going on with our team building program, or as I'm calling it, hashtag Better Teams. We're going through the 5 steps, or the 5 areas of the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. Talk about some of what we're working on with teams. This is our session number 4. In the 5 step, we've talked about trust and the importance of trust on a team. We're already talking about conflict, having healthy conflict, this debate of ideas, passionate debate of ideas. Talk about commitment. We talk about weighing in and buying in, and why commitment is so important. That once everyone's had a chance to speak their mind and the team makes a decision, you got to be all in on that decision. Everyone's got to be supportive of that decision. Well, now we're at the next step. So after we're all in on the decision, we've had the debate, we've made to decide. Now we decide, how do we hold each other accountable? This peer-to-peer accountability. Before we get into the crux of our session today on peer accountability, just a couple of highlights. One, I am doing a webinar on April 17th in the afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern, about this entire program. We're going to break down the nuts and bolts a little bit. It's more for trainers and HR folks, but if you're a business owner and you're thinking about doing this program for your team, you may want to listen in, because we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, what actually we talk about. So I'm doing it on the 17th. As a reminder, this program can be done in 1 full day. It can be done in 3 full days. It can be done in 5 half days. I do the 5 half-day approach because I like the skill building part of this. And as always, I'm offering a free consultation, free team consultation. So if you think this is something your team would like to do, or you just want to talk about what issues facing your team, give me a call. We'll schedule some time. I can come out and see you, grab a cup of coffee. Those of you know I'm a Starbucks fan, so we'll meet at Starbucks. Especially that new one in Chantilly, looking pretty good. And we'll chat about your team. Let's talk about your team a little bit. But today we're going to talk about accountability and a different mindset and accountability. We're talking about peer-to-peer accountability here. Now, for a lot of organizations, and I should tell you this, in the times I've taught this program, this seems to be the hardest module, especially in some old school, old line, organizations that have this hierarchical where the boss is in charge, boss makes all decisions. The relationship I have as an employee, the most important relationship I have, is with the boss, because the boss decides my annual review, my annual pay raise, decides when I can get my vacation approved. And the boss-employee relationship is the accountability relationship that a lot of folks are used to. As long as the boss is happy and I'm happy with the boss, everything else is fine. I like my peers. They're great people. I like working with them, but they're not responsible for my job accountability. My boss is accountable. So when you bring this concept of peer-to-peer accountability to the table, there are some looks in the room like, okay, what's this guy really talking about? Is he talking about we keeping each other accountable? That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's peer-to-peer accountability. It's the ability for you to either applaud somebody on your team that's doing a good job by giving them positive feedback, or it's calling them on the carpet where they're not living up to the standard or something they've committed to do. So as always, we go to the assessment first, because the assessment always gives us good information. So as a reminder for you, this is the assessment we're working with. We're working at the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. I use the DISC version because I'm a DISC guy. But the first thing we look at are the survey results of the team. And these are the questions we ask the team. Team members offer unprovoked constructive feedback to one another. And there are teams that do this, and there are teams that never do this. And again, depending on the degree of score here, this may be a brief or very in-depth conversation. Second question is, the team ensures that members feel pressure from their peers and the expectation to perform. So again, in the old school model, worried about what the boss thinks. Here, I need to be worried about what my peers think, because if I let the team down, I'm going to hear it from my peers. Conversely, if I do well, I should also hear it from my team members. The third question, team members confront peers about problems in their respective areas of responsibility. So again, it's like going into someone's office saying, hey, John, we had discussed about this, and you said you were going to do this, and I said I was going to do this. I got my this done. We need to get your this done. How do we do that? So we have this conversation about living up to the standard of each other, holding each other accountable, and standard performance that the team has agreed to. And then the last one is team members question one another about their current approaches and methods. So again, getting a little coaching from your teammate may not be a bad thing. Getting coaching from your boss is always good, but you may get some coaching from a teammate about doing something a bit differently, maybe trying a new idea to get things done. So we take these 4 questions like we've done in the other modules. We break them down into small groups. Participants look at their results. On the subsequent pages, it'll tell us how many participants scored almost never, rarely, sometimes, usually, or almost always in each of these questions. And again, from a facilitation standpoint, it's always good for me to know where the team resides, because I know that there are going to be times where this particular question is going to take a little more discussion because of the scores, because they're so low. Or the scores may be spread out across the spectrum. So, there's disagreement here, so let's find out where that is. And there are some issues on each of these pages that participants can discuss. Now, we go through this. Take some time to go through all 4 of those questions, and we see where the team resides. So then we get to a place where participants ask each other, what will it take for your team to reach accountability status, or what does the team need to work on so that the team's accountability needs are met by each other and not the boss? So again, we ask participants just to rate these items, and depending on how these items are rated, it's a bit dynamic, so we'll get into further discussion. But these are the things we want the team members to assess. And the question is, our ability to hold one another accountable could improve if we challenge each other to do what? And these are the things we list. Call one another on unproductive behaviors, give one another feedbacks, have clear priorities and goals, review progress against goals during team meetings, have more efficient and productive meetings, follow through on personal commitments, address missed deadlines and delays, be more direct, publicly share goals, and spend more time together. And that spend more time together is very interesting. Depending on the team I'm with, it normally gets a 0 score, or it gets a 7, 8, 9, 10 score. So the teams I work with either want to hang out more together, or they never want to hang out together after work. So it's very interesting to see how that last question pans out. We always recommend a little social time with teams, and we think that's a good idea. Doesn't mean it have to be every weekend, no, but I think the obligatory go out to the ball game, or go bowling, or go to the winery, go to the brewery, doing something together in the community, going to a nonprofit, and whether it be paint a team rec center, or doing something in the community as a group, doing that team building activity is always, we think, is always good. Doesn't have to be all the time, but it does build some spirit of core. We see a lot of companies in Northern Virginia put their company T-shirts on certain times of the year, and they go out and help the community. We also see them out at the ball game on the weekend, whether it be a company outing, that kind of thing, bring the family. So, so again, we would definitely recommend that. And so we had talked about last time, if there's time in this module to do more of these one-on-one meetings. We talked about the comparison reports in the last meeting. Our hope is that participants are having these one-on-one meetings with each other. If there's time in this module and they haven't had a lot of time to do those one-on-one meetings, we would spend some time doing those one-on-one meetings. So if you and I work better together, hopefully the team work better together. And over a course of time, we'll have these one-on-one meetings throughout the program. Then we get to the action planning part, and as you know, there are 2 parts of the action planning part of this program for each of the modules. There's the group action planning, and there's some ideas here and the action planning documents within the assessment that we put out in front of the folks. And then there's individual things that folks want to try. And again, for a lot of teams, this is brand new, so we really want to get some real solid action items, both at the team level and at the individual level, so that people can start holding each other a bit accountable. This takes practice. So there's also another activity we do toward the end of this module where we get everybody to stand up, and we have kind of a speed feedback process where everybody pairs up, and then everyone gives positive feedback to each other, and we do it like real quick, like a 3-minute activity. And everybody goes around the room and has a chance to give positive feedback to each other. And for those who have never experienced that before, it's kind of cool. It's almost like speed dating, but we call it speed feedback, give positive feedback to each other. Well, that kind of wraps it up today. We're at the end of Module 4. Next time we'll talk about Module 5. I'll put a link in here about the webinar we got coming up in April. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me if you're watching this post session. It's Mondays with Michael Live here on Facebook. Make it a great week, and we'll see you next Monday. Take care.